Hey guys, how are you all doing? Welcome to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Naruto x Origa Discordia x Hachishaku-sama, part 7. So before we start, go check out the author of this fanfic, Arashi Uchiha. Subscribe if you enjoy the video. Let's start the story. Celestine froze in shock. This boy is going to become intimate with her. She widened her green eyes at this. As she looked at the boy who stared at her, the throne room doors opened revealing Maya and Miria who wanted to watch this. Hachishaku-sama flared her yakai power to seal the doors shut. Then summoned a potion in her hand. What is that? Celestine couldn't help but ask looking at the potion in Hachishaku-sama's hand. This is a fertility potion. Once you drink this, your ovaries will be extremely fertile. Hachishaku explained as Celestine widened her eyes. The others who watched were shocked. A potion that will make their ovaries extremely fertile. Hachishaku-sama stood up and used her power to bring Celestine to her hands and force open her mouth and poured the potion in the former elf goddess's mouth, closing her mouth, forcing her rival to swallow it. And now, you and Naruto will do it. She says looking towards Naruto who stepped forward. Hachishaku would sit on the throne to watch while Chloe stood beside her. Maya and Miria, including Claudia, Prim and Alicia were standing by the now turned dark elf prisoners holding whips should they step out of line or do anything. They were feeling giddily watching this. Celestine only stood as she watched Naruto step forward. As he undressed himself, Celestine widened her green eyes at the size of his length. How is it possible for a child to have such a large appendage? Asagi, Sakura, Kagaya, Ruuru, Ingrid, Yukikas, and Celestine's god half were surprised at the sight of Naruto's lower region so big. Maya, Prim, Claudia, and Alicia along with Miria looked amazed at such size for someone so young. So big. Just how is that possible? Thought Asagi as the image burned into her mind, as did the rest of the women who had the same thought as Asagi. Them having such a size should not be possible for a child like him, thought Ingrid. Chloe licked her lips. She wants some action now as she turned towards her queen. Don't worry Chloe. Me and you will get our turns after he's finished with them. Hachishaku-sama says with a smile as Chloe could hardly wait for that. Celestine could only stare at Naruto. She suddenly felt tears swell up in her eyes. Feeling sadness, shame, and weakness. She's now subjugated into the life of being a slave to a boy and that she lost to Origa in a war. Is this her fate? Now a dark elf forever and a slave to not just a boy but to her rival. Naruto noticed her tears and walked up to her and wiped them in a comforting way. As she looked at him slightly surprised by this action. Those who watched were also surprised by Naruto's current action. Worry not dear Celestine. I will not treat you as if you are a trophy, unlike a certain asshole who is still in his own version of hell for thinking that women are objects. I will treat you just like how I treat Origa-chan and Chloe-chan. Naruto would say, caressing her cheeks in a calming way while she looked at him with wide eyes and began to think about his words as if they were comforting and that his words seemed sincere. The same goes for all of you. Naruto says turning to the prisoner turned dark elves who gasped hearing his declaration looking at each of them. They exchanged glances at each other while replaying the words he just said to Celestine. Hachishaku-sama smiled watching the scene, as did Chloe. Meanwhile, though Naruto and his wives weren't the only ones having fun. In bed lay Itachi Uchiha, who had recently pleasured his dark elf wives. Including his new ones Rinko and Murasaki. In his bed was Rosalind, Victoria, Rinko, and Murasaki along with other bishops, female knights, and nuns. Thank Kami for shadow clones. He has impregnated all of them. Meaning a new Uchiha clan will arise. Ripper, our Indoraptor, recently mated with Riptor and her pack. Soon there will be newborn raptors for the empire as steeds to ride on. In the afterlife sat Minato Namikaze along with the other half of Kyuubi with Kushina Uzumaki his wife and her best friend Makoto Uchiha. Sitting besides the Uchiha woman is another Uchiha girl, Izumi Uchiha, Itachi's girlfriend. Zero, who is in the afterlife, shows them both Naruto and Itachi's daily life. Zero would smirk seeing the group raise eyebrows. Their boy is a man now. Zero says, pointing to the screen showing Minato and Kushina Naruto being intimate with Chloe and Hachishaku-sama at his first time, then showing them all his other intimate times with them. Minato couldn't help but smirk in pride. That's my boy. And here I thought Jiraiya was going to have him read his research. Minato says while looking at his wife whose hair floated in 9 parts as if she was the Kyuubi and flared a protective motherly aura. She better be glad I'm not alive to kick her ass for taking my sweet little boy's innocence. Why couldn't she wait until he was 16? Growled Kushina seriously did not approve of Naruto having sex at such a young age, though she did feel happy that he's bringing back the clan after seeing him with other women. If she was alive now she'd spoil all her grandchildren. Makoto, having seen Itachi with his women, blushed and squealed, happy that she yelled out. Yes. I am getting grandbabies. Pay up Fugaku. Itachi is not gay. She proclaimed, causing sweat drops to appear above Zero, Minato, and Kushina's foreheads. Izumi had a sad smile and an expression wishing that she could have been the mother of Itachi's children. If she wasn't killed by that masked man when he killed all the Uchiha at the Uchiha police station. Though she is happy that Itachi has found happiness with other women and is rebuilding the clan in a new light. Both parents are happy that Naruto is reviving the Uzumaki clan. Makoto is happy that her son is making grandbabies and restoring the Uchiha clan in a new light since Fugaku wanted to create a coup and attempt to overthrow the Sandaime due to their clan not being trusted since they could be linked to the Kyuubi attack. Meanwhile in hell, Fugaku could only scowl as he couldn't help but feel that Makoto won the bet should his son bed with a woman of his choice. He hopes his second son Sasuke makes progress in following the steps of being a Uchiha elite and having any woman he desires. Konoha, Ukasu just sneezed as if someone was talking about him. Itachi must be talking about me. I'll make him pay when I meet him, said Sasuke as he continued to train. Back in hell, on the other side of hell, where Hicks, Kin, Glaive, Bertrand, Shamuhaza, Kuryu, Kyle Jinul and King Chrome are at. Angry and are being tortured for their sins and crimes and what they all attempted to do. Hicks and Kin were looking for their boss wondering where he was. It seems as if their boss Volt did not die and joined them in hell. The Boru wasn't even among them in hell. The rape villains wondered what happened to their two conspirators. Who's not even in hell with them to be tortured and to suffer for their sins. Those who are members were not aware of Volt's personal hell that Naruto and Hachishaku-sama had given him. Though Boru's fate is quite unknown and will be discussed. Amakend. Now in a much larger bed with so many wives sleeping with him. Naruto looked to his right and saw Hachishaku-sama sleeping on his right, Chloe on his left, while the other girls who are his wives are also in bed with him. Smiling since last night he had sex with all of them. Except Haku, Yujito, Fu, and Naiko Robin. They'll get their turn with him today. Later on. Yuzu throne room. Hachishaku-sama sat on her throne with Naruto sitting on her lap, Chloe stood on the left with Itachi on the right. As they all looked at all their staff and court members including those in their ranks. It's good that we all returned from my world. Now that we conquered it we will focus all of our energy upon the elemental nations. Claiming all and will rule all. Origa says looking at everyone, that's right. We will do just that. Our empire will grow stronger. Says Naruto from his wife's lap while laying his head against her huge soft pillows. Itachi. You will be our scout to see what has changed since we have left the elemental nations. Naruto says with the man nodding. At once. He notices his dark elf wives smiling at him and waving at him. That's all we will say. Hachishaku-sama says as everyone was dismissed. Naruto decided to walk off as he noticed Haku looking at him with affection along with Fu and Yujito. Naiko Robin. Hey, Naruto-kun. Greeted Haku as he greeted her back. Hello Haku-chan, Yugi-chan, Fu-chan, and Robin-chan. Naruto says as all four of them hugged him each. All four of them are dark elves with beautiful figures. They were turned yesterday right after Naruto dominated Celestine and the other captive prisoners. Origa-shaku-chan is letting me be with you guys for the day since neither of you got to have any fun with me. He says as they all smiled. So does that mean we can have some of that fun now? Says Robin as Yujito glared at Robin. You just can't wait to have a piece of that action do you? Yujito thought with hidden jealousy, knowing she spied on Robin, who also spied on Naruto doing it with Origa-shaku-sama and Chloe using her damn devil fruit powers to see him in action herself in which was not fair. Well we could always do it now. Naruto says with a sly look. Coming up on Robin with the other three glaring at the woman. Naruto would lead them to the bedroom while putting silencing seals in the room knowing he's going to do it. But Itachi is currently creating several shadow clones that changed as crows. Now all turned to crows he deployed them in various locations throughout the elemental nations to learn what's going on and happening. Hopefully his crows will return him good information and could use the said information to give to his empress and emperor. The next day, now in the throne room. Sat the others as Itachi came in to report to Origa-shaku-sama. Naruto and Chloe. Tsunade was also present. I have gained reports of what's happening. An event is happening at our former village. The Chunin exams. Itachi says that Origa-shaku-sama, Chloe and Naruto raise eyebrows. Elaborate on what are these Chunin exams Itachi? His empress asked. It's a tournament of some sort. Meaning all clients from all over the elemental nations are here to witness good shinobi who are strong and wish to see their strength. Nobles, daimyos and other cages also can go and see this event if they wish to. Tsunade had explained as they listened to her. So that's it. Huh, Naruto would say stroking his chin. I think we should enter. Naruto added. With others looking at him. Us enter? I don't see anything wrong with that. How should we enter? Origa-shaku-sama looking at both Tsunade and Itachi. We will need a shinobi team to enter. Itachi answered. I'm going. But I will need 2 volunteers and I know the 2 who could join me. Itachi, you will be my sensei for our team. Naruto says. Wait. We will need new headbands since they will get suspicions of Yuzu returning. Says Tsunade. Yes. She's right. We will need a blacksmith to forge our new headbands. Hachishaku-sama said as she looked at Itachi. When are these Chunin exams? She asked. In a week. He answered. Okay. Then we need to get ready. It's time for the elemental nations to know of us. Hachishaku says. Naruto is looking at his candidates for his team for the exams. Behind him are his wives. Hachishaku-sama and Chloe. Chloe wasn't picked to be a candidate because she's pregnant and couldn't risk hurting her child in a fight. She had wanted to join Naruto, but he told her that she needs to stay and not join him for the baby's sake. In which Chloe had to accept. She really wanted to be by his side in these exams, but she knows Itachi and several others will look after him. The boy glanced at Haku, Yujito, Fu, Lady Devaman, Morrigan, Zenaku, Marluxia Asagi, Sakura, Yukikaze, Ingrid, and everyone else. Itachi is his sensei for these Chunin exams. Since the man knows Konoha better than anyone else. He points to Yujito and Fu. You two can come with me to the Chunin exams. The rest of you will remain here. Naruto says with both female Jinchuriki nodding. We will be leaving in 2 days. Naruto says looking at the two who nodded seeing they would have to pack their things and be ready for the exams. Hachishaku-sama has already told a blacksmith to make their headbands with the Uzumaki swirl with a kanji for dark elf on it. Itachi has his crows still out in the elemental nations to keep an eye on some villages. Naruto is deciding what to wear for the exams. He frowned, seeing that he will have to leave his armor here. But will probably wear it for the final part of the exams, since Itachi had explained to them that there are 4 trials in the exams. The first one is writing a test and that you would have to encounter Konoha's most intimidating shinobi Ibiki. The second trial involves the Forest of Death and surviving in it until you reach the tower along with having the Heaven and Earth scrolls. Then it's the third part, the preliminary exams. Should you succeed in the preliminaries you can advance to the finals and fight your opponents. He stroked his chin wondering what disguise he could wear so no one wouldn't recognize him or know of him as the Uzumaki Shredder. Wait till they see him as Demon Uzumaki Shredder. He looked over and saw his legendary Uzumaki clan blade, Ryujin Jaka. He could take this weapon with him to the Chunin exams. But he still needs a disguise and name. Since no one knows who his identity is, Uzumaki Shredder. He decided to go to the Yuzu treasure vault. Yuzu vault now inside carrying Ryujin Jaka with him. Looking for something that he could use and go under a new identity. He looked at the various items the Uzumakis had stored in their vault that belonged to many of their great ancestors and descendants. Suddenly he stopped at one. A shrine of some sorts. The shrine of a very ancient Uzumaki. The Oriichi Tsujikuni Uzumaki. The greatest demon slayer in the elemental nations and greatest swordsman. Naruto felt intrigued by one of his ancient kin. As on the shrine was a statue of Yoriichi Tsujikuni Uzumaki. On the pedestal was his sword, his Hanafuda earrings, and scrolls for the kanji of sun-breathing techniques. Naruto looked at the earrings and decided to pick them up. Guess he could wear these and take the scrolls. He didn't really need the sword since he has the Shade Mizukage's clan blade. Ryujin Jaka. Maybe one of his children will inherit the sword. Taking the earrings and scrolls he looked for something else. He needed a new look. Now. As he found ninja garbs that he could customize. And these garbs belonged to another family member. Ryuhei Abusa Uzumaki. Along with the man's Taijutsu scrolls and weapons. As he takes them. 2 days later, it was time for them to leave for the Chunin exams. Itachi was already at the docks ready to set sail for Wave on the Yuzu Red Galleon. Yujito and Fu already arrived wearing their Uzumaki headbands with the kanji for Dark Elf on it. Hachishaku-sama and Chloe along with the rest watched Naruto arrive in a new appearance. Now in black and red shinobi garbs with kunai hustlers on each leg with the Uzumaki swirl on the front torso. He wore a black mask that covered up half his face, his mouth and cheeks, his hair had turned red. And was in a different hairstyle ponytail like. He has scrolls on his hips. And the legendary Uzumaki sword in his hands. He wore Hanafuda earrings. Along with a strange mark on his forehead. Which seems to be the cause of him wearing the earrings that granted him Yoriichi Tsujikuni Uzumaki's memories and abilities. His eyes were even red. Let's go. Naruto says Hachishaku-sama and Chloe came to him and kissed him. Good luck Naruto-kun. Says Chloe. Be your best, my husband. Hachishaku says. Be well Naruto. Tsunade said as he nodded. Ripper came to his side. Be good boy Ripper. I'm sorry I can't bring you with me. If I bring you now they might connect the dots that I could be Uzumaki Shredder. Naruto says petting Ripper who growled slowly, understanding his alpha. After giving everyone his goodbyes he got on board with his team and were onwards to Wave. Now under a new name and identity Naruto named himself Yoriichi Hayabusa Uzumaki. Now on the boat sailing to Wave. Itachi is even under a new disguise too. wearing a Uzumaki kimono colored in black and red. He wears a red Tengu mask and holds a fan. He goes by Tengu Izuna. Now wearing their new identities, no one will recognize either of them. The elemental nations will soon know of the Dark Elven Yuzu Empire and its great rise here in this world. They are unprepared for what is about to come. And with the Chunin exams happening, will reveal them. In Yascha, elsewhere. So Kuryu Oboro and their alliance has been crushed. By a mere boy and Dark Elves HMPH, even the Tasmanians are captured. Says a deep voice. Yes, my informants told me of what happened. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Says another figure staring at the first figure. Hard to believe that we are joining forces to get what we want. Says the first figure. It seems our enemies caught the wrong Oboro. Remarked the second figure. Ah yes. They did. That Oboro they have with them is nothing but a clone. Says the first figure, who grinned. And where is she now? Asked the second figure. Creating more bioweapons and of course amassing an army. One that could rival the Dark Elven Empire. I trust your demons are increasing. Says the first figure. Of course. We are now a deadly alliance. It's most certainly a pleasure joining forces, Edwin Black, says the second figure, revealing the vampire lord who smirked at him. The same can be said about Yukura Ryuji. Replied Edwin Black, smiling at the Incubus King. Who smiled as they shook hands. Naruto, Itachi, Yujito, and Fu made it to Konoha. Both Itachi and Naruto had to use their new identities. I'm going to register you all for the exams. Itachi says, with the three nodding, seeing him walk off. Naruto, Yujito, and Fu looked around. Let's look around and try to get to know our surroundings. Says Naruto, with the two nodding as they both walked around the village observing the place. As Naruto heard shouting and suddenly went to go see what was the commotion. Let him go, this is a waste of time. And we could get in trouble. Says a blonde-haired girl, looking at a boy in a catsuit and manhandling a little boy while his two other friends try to help him. I'm not going to let some snot-nosed brat insult me like Tamari. Says Kankuro, making Naruto raise a brow. Care to tell me why are you attacking a little boy? Says Naruto, making them turn towards him. Seeing the redhead boy and his two female teammates. It's none of your business whoever you are. Kankuro says as Team 7 approaches the scene. While Tamari focused on the redhead boy. It is my business because I don't like bullies. Why don't you pick on someone your own size? Naruto says, with Kankuro glaring at him. Okay. Mr. Smartus, you think you're wise and all. This brat here insulted my appearance. Kankuro says, with Tamari rolling her eyes while the group looks confused seeing his appearance. He's wearing makeup. And he won't admit it. Says Konoharamu, with the group widening their eyes and then busting out laughing. Shut up, brat. And it's warpant. Not makeup. Kankuro says, ready to hit the boy, only for Naruto to strike him with speed. No one did not see or track. As Kankuro fell on his ass. So fast. We didn't even see him move. Thought those who saw. I think you should stop what you're doing, Naruto says, with Kankuro looking at him in hate. Why should I? Kankuro retorts. Your red-headed teammate who is looking at you in anger. Naruto says, as both Tamari and Kankuro turned white and looked up from the tree, seeing a red-headed boy with a gourd on his back and a kanji for love on his forehead. Gaara, stammered Kankuro and Tamari. You are a disgrace to our village. Gaara says coldly, making his siblings flinch. But Gaara, Kankuro started to say, but Gaara interrupted. Shut up or I'll kill you. Gaara hissed, looking his brother, then turned towards Naruto. I apologize for my brother for acting so foolish and embarrassing our village. I see you are here for the Chunin exams. Gaara says, with Naruto nodding. Yes, we are. I take it you're Suna. Naruto says, with Gaara nodding, who was shifting his eyes from him to Fu and to Yujito. He could hear his mother for some reason grumbling about powerful siblings, and suddenly Gaara put two and two together. But why was his mother so afraid of these three before him? So that's Shukaku's vessel. Matabi mused in Yujito's mind. Well, if it isn't our brother, says Jimei. Iubi even glanced at Gaara, who could feel Shukaku within him. Brother? You mean? Fu spoke to Jimei, who felt her tailed beast nod in her head. Who's that Nibi? Asked Yujito. That kitten is my demented crazy brother Shukaku, the one-tails. Matabi answered. There was silence between the four, who eyed each other ominously. Gaara kept an impassive stare at the three. As he realized that these four are just like him. His focus fell on Naruto, who kept a neutral stare. What is your name? Gaara asked the redhead. My name is Yoriichi Hayabusa Uzumaki. Naruto answered using his new identity. You are? Yoriichi Asos. Subaku no Gaara. And these are my siblings Tamari and Kankuro. Gaara answered. I'm looking forward to facing you, Yoriichi. Mother wants your blood. Gaara says as he and his siblings walk away. He makes me feel uneasy. Commented Fu as Yujito agreed with her. Maybe so. But I don't fear him or his mother, Naruto says as Konoharamu and his friend stepped forward. Thank you, Yoriichi. Thanks for saving me. You're cool. Says Konoharamu with his friends agreeing. None taken, kid. Come on, let's move on. Yoriichi says, but was stopped by Sasuke. Your name is Yoriichi Hayabusa Uzumaki. Sasuke says, yes. Is that a problem? Yoriichi replied with Sasuke giving him a suspicious glare. You don't happen to be related to this Uzumaki shredder, do you? Sasuke questioned, seeing Yoriichi raise a brow. Why, yes. He is my cousin. Is there a problem? Yoriichi asks with Sasuke still glaring at him. Actually there is. He took away our mission. A mission that was meant for us. No one takes a mission from me. Sasuke snaps. And who are you supposed to be? Yoriichi says with a frown. Sasuke Uchiha. The Uchiha elite, and you better bow to my very greatness Uzumaki. Sasuke answered with Sakura cheering Sasuke in the background with Sai looking like well said. And you think that makes you special or something? You're not Kami. Yoriichi says bluntly, making Sasuke snarl. I demand you and your horse to bow to my great. Before Sasuke could even finish the sentence, Yoriichi appeared so fast and struck him in the gut, making him fall on his knees and vomit. I suggest you keep your words in your mouth before I remove the very thing that helps you talk. Yoriichi threatened with Sasuke looking up at him in hate. How dare you? You dare strike an Uchiha elite? Sasuke growls. Yeah. You can't hurt Sasuke-kun. Who do you think you are doing that? Hissed Sakura as both Yujito and Fu glared at the ugly pink-haired howler monkey who felt a chill run down her spine. Shut your mouth. Spat Yujito. Make me? You long-eared freak. Suddenly a large killer intent flared and it was coming from Yoriichi, who glared at Sakura. Sakura looked close to pissing on herself from the killer intent. Sai felt nervous as he too started sweating. Pray that we don't fight in the exams. Come on girls. Yoriichi says as they prepare to leave. Sasuke glared at Yoriichi's retreating form. I'll make you pay. Uzumaki. No one humiliates me like that and gets away with it. He snarled in thought. The sound shinobi team who were nearby also shivered at Yoriichi's killer intent. It made Orochimaru look like a clown. They silently prayed they wouldn't fight him. Naruto, Yujito, and Fu entered the actual exam room, having known it was Dot. As they entered they saw many teams notice their arrival. Who are they? Tenten asked Naruto and both Dark Elf Jinchuriki. Along with noticing the whirlpool insignia that has a kanji for Dark Elf. Beats me, but the redhead looks handsome. Says Ino with Shikamaru sighing and muttering troublesome as Choji didn't seem all that interested. Lee took notice of them along with a Hyuga boy who had a cold expression on them. Who the hell are they? Asked Kiba with his pup resting on his head. While Shino showed no reaction to them. Hinata focused on the redhead. Bara and his siblings noticed Yoriichi and his team. Team 7 glared at Yoriichi and his teammates. Even the sound team noticed the arrival of the Dark Elf Yuzu Empire. The Grass Nin also eyed the Dark Elf Yuzu Empire. But focused solely on Naruto. Naruto saw other teams from other hidden villages that had gotten there before them, and the various trios of teams looked pretty strong. He saw a bunch of Mist, Grass, and even Iwa of all shinobi teams to show up to this event. Vegito is somewhat glad that Kumo isn't in this year's Chunin exams. The last thing she needed was for her village to find her and bring her back. Hello. Who are you guys? Asked Ino, who walked towards them. Greetings. My name is Yoriichi Hayabusa Uzumaki. And these two are my teammates Yujito and Fu. Naruto introduced. Nice name Yoriichi. The name is Ino Yamanaka and those guys over there are my teammates. The dark-haired lazy ass is Shikamaru and the I mean big boy besides him is Choji. Ino says, nearly slipped at calling Choji the F word. A pleasure meeting you. Yoriichi says as he notices Tenten and Hinata along with Lee come their way. Yoriichi, was it? Care to tell me where you guys come from? That insignia on your forehead projectors almost looks like ours that the Jonins wear on their flak jackets or vests. Says Tenten while also looking at the sword Yoriichi has. While Naruto frowned. We are from a village called. Naruto replied with others looking confused except for the Grass Nin who widened eyes. Never heard of that village before, is it new? Ino says. Let's just say it's been revived. Yoriichi says. Say you wouldn't happen to be related to Uzumaki Shredder. Says Tenten as she had heard of Team 7's mission to wave. I am his cousin. Yoriichi lied since no one but his teammates and Itachi knew of his identity as Uzumaki Shredder. That sword? What is it? Tenten couldn't help but ask. This sword has belonged to my clan for generations. This is a family heirloom. Yoriichi answers as Hinata looks at him along with the rest. Sasuke scowled, of course. Why are you all talking with him? He is an enemy. Says Sasuke with Sakura agreeing. Why do these chicks have long ears? Says Kiba as he looked at Yujito and Fu. While looking at their asses. Yujito, who noticed this, made a hissing sound of a cat that made everyone jump back slightly. I suggest you keep your eyes elsewhere, dog boy. Yujito hissed at him, flinching. Hey, keep it down will you? Says a boy with white hair and wore glasses. And who are you? Asked Yoriichi. My name is Kabayo Yakushi. The boy answered. And you are in the exams? Asked Sakura. Possibly, considering this isn't my first run through the Chunin exams, said the boy in return before pushing his glasses up. Is this your second or third shot? Said Sasuke, wondering if he could get some needed info off of this kid before him to advance through these exams. My seventh actually, said the silver white-haired boy, sounding embarrassed, but Naruto could tell he wasn't, and it made him suspicious of the boy. So you suck? Says Kiba. That may have been the case before, but not this year with all the info I've gathered over the previous tries, said Kabuto, reaching into his pouch and producing info cards, which made Sasuke interested. You have info, you say? Sasuke asks, with Kabuto nodding. Yes. Pick a card out of this deck and it will give you the stats with info on the individual in question. Do I have any takers? Said Kabuto, knowing that anyone worth their headband that was around them would want info on the competition. I want information on Uchiha Hayabusa Uzumaki. Sasuke says, glaring at Uchiha. So you know his name? Well, let's see here. Kabuto says, pulling out the card, hoping to fish any information on Uchiha. He looked at the card only to expect info on the card, but the card remained blank. What? That has never happened before. Kabuto thought, as he looked at Uchiha, who gave him a cold look that sent a shiver down his spine. Well? Sasuke asked impatiently. Sorry to disappoint you. It seems Uchiha's powers and skills are unknown. Kabuto answered, with Sasuke scowling. That's bullshit. And I know it. Thought Sasuke, glaring at Kabuto, then at Uchiha. Make no mistake, Uzumaki. I will find out how strong you are and defeat you in these exams, he snarled in thought. Uchiha and his teammates were relieved that his powers weren't discovered or known. And the reason for that is because Naruto hasn't done any activities in the elemental nations for a while. The only activity he has done was taking Team 7's mission in waves. Had he gone under his Uzumaki Shredder persona, then maybe everyone would know his skills and abilities and how much of a threat he is. And because he's under a new identity, no one knows his skills and abilities. Alright, you maggots. Shut up and let's get started. Yelled a man wearing a black bandana, black trench coat, and basically black clothing in general, with scars all over his body. My name is Marino Ibiki, and I'm the examiner for this part of the Chunin exams. So sit down, shut up, and prepare to enter a world of hell, said Ibiki, making several genin gulps, a few shakes, and several individuals smirking at the thought of this being compared to it. And so it begins. Uchiha says to himself. Per hour they did the writing test and passed. Now pleased that they can advance. Their success was interrupted when an explosion happened and they looked to see Banner and a purple-haired woman wearing a trench coat. Alright brats. Get ready for the next part of the exam with the sexy dangerous Anko. Anko says with a lot of sweat dropping. You're early. Says Ibiki. As the woman looked around. Sorry. Bad habit. Okay, you big babies, to the next exam, or I will summon my snake friends to play with you, said Anko, making almost everyone nervous at that, since the larger snake summons could devour people whole. Forest of Death. Alright you bakas, listen up. Right now you're outside what we like to call around here the Forest of Death, which you guys will have to run through in order to get any kind of reprieve, and trust me, this place lives up to its name, said Anko, grinning at the large group of genin before her, and saw Naruto with his group with a determined look on his face. Survival of the fittest, said Naruto, grinning with his team in complete agreement. That's right. Each team will have a scroll. One scroll could be Earth or it could be Heaven. The objective is to find the team with the opposite scroll you have and then get to the center of the Forest of Death, where a large tower is set up for you. You will have 5 days to reach that destination before your team or what's left of it becomes disqualified from the exams. I'm giving you these release forms for each member of your team to sign, so I don't get held accountable, or the leaf for that matter, if you die, said Anko, handing out the release forms to each of the genins. It wasn't long before the release forms were signed, the scrolls handed out to each team, and the race for survival was on, with the end result being half or less of the current teams starting the exam finishing it. Alright. Let's move. Naruto says, as Uchiha and Fu nodded and went into the forest. As they made their way through the Forest of Death in an attempt to make it to the center tower like everyone else, it was now that they had what they needed to qualify. However, as they ran they came across a blast of killing intent that made them freeze for a good 10 seconds, as it was beyond anything they had ever felt before. That was clearly not that of a genin level shinobi, and it meant one thing to Naruto. That someone is clearly jonin level or higher. What is this killer intent? Asked Fu. While Naruto inhaled the scent in the air. It smells of snakes. Yes, Anko smelled of snakes, but this one also has the scent of blood on this person. Let's go. Naruto says, as he dashed off towards that location. But Orochimaru, having revealed himself to Team 7 and marked Sasuke Uchiha with his curse seal. Along with defeating his former student who still glares at him with defiance. I will kill you. You bastard. Anko hissed, getting up off the ground, as Orochimaru had a look of amusement. You can try, Anko-chan. But you will never defeat me. I may have taught you well in my snake hearts. But I didn't teach you everything now, did I? You are still the learner while I remain the master. Orochimaru says, grinning. I will kill you. If it's the last thing I do. She struggled to stand and pulled out another kunai. But he simply knocked it out of her hand and kicked her, knocking her to the ground as he brought out Kusanagi. It's a shame that I have to say goodbye to you, Anko-chan. Ready to go to hell. Orochimaru says, ready to stab his former student. She spat in his face. Fuck you. She cursed. Very well. He prepared to stab her. Only for another sword to intervene with his. And push him back. You? Orochimaru glances at Yoriichi, who came to her rescue. Anko looked up, seeing Yoriichi along with his teammates. Take them out of here. Yoriichi says, as both Fu and Yujito looked ready to protest, but knew better. They had faith in their husband that he could hold his own against one of the Sannin. Ah, the Uzumaki. Yoriichi was it? Strangely, I thought all the Uzumakis had perished. Guess they have missed one. Orochimaru mused. That's where you are wrong. Yoriichi says, glaring at Orochimaru. How amusing. You'll be easy to snuff out. Orochimaru says, opening his mouth, unleashing a snake with a sword in its mouth, sending it at Yoriichi, who simply sliced the snake in half. Orochimaru dodged and avoided Yoriichi's sword slashes and blows and jumped backwards and sent multiple snake swarms at Yoriichi. Yoriichi began to breathe. Sun breathing form. Burning bone summer sun, Yoriichi says, unleashing a circular wave of fire at the snake swarm, incinerating them on the spot, with Orochimaru looking shocked. That sword he holds, it's not normal. He thought, as he saw Yoriichi charge at him, as the snake Sannin brought up his defense and blocked whatever sword blow Yoriichi may use against him. Both swords locked into a deadlock as they glanced at each other. Sparks ignited as they broke apart and exchanged blows at one another, with each countering blows. He's good. I'll give him that. But not good enough. Orochimaru thought about opening his mouth to send a snake at Yoriichi as the snake opened up its mouth and unleashed a blade. Yoriichi evaded it and backed away. Orochimaru grinned. You're strong. Uzumaki. Maybe stronger than Sasuke. Perhaps I should give you a gift too. Orochimaru says with a wide grin. I don't want your gift. Yoriichi replied. Oh, trust. You like it. Orochimaru says, now extending his neck, and goes to bite Yoriichi's neck. Yoriichi frowned as he began to breathe again and does a backflip in the air, avoiding Orochimaru's bite. Sun breathing. Setting sun transformation. His sword ignited in sun fire and did a forward slash at Orochimaru's neck, beheading him. He glanced at the decapitated body of Orochimaru that turned into mud. The clone made of mud. Though Naruto is now looking around for Orochimaru. The blade out of nowhere impaled Naruto through his left shoulder. As he grunted in pain. I got you now. Uzumaki. Now you will be my next vessel. You are strong. He grinned, extended his neck, and bit Naruto on the neck, who grunted again, feeling the bite mark. Damn him. Thought Naruto as he punched Orochimaru off him. As he clutched his neck and fell on one knee. Orochimaru felt his mouth burn for some reason and his fangs shattered. As he glanced at Yoriichi, who was on one knee, he frowned. Why was his curse seal not working on the boy? With Hachishaku-sama, she was currently in the middle of something. As she suddenly felt a disturbance. Is Naruto in danger? She thought, hoping that wasn't the case. Wondering who dares harms her husband and soulmate. She needs to make contact with Itachi now to find out. Back with Naruto, Yoriichi grunting as he is resisting the curse seal and glared harshly at Orochimaru. How is this possible? How are you resisting my curse seal? Orochimaru says angrily. Yoriichi began to stand up and glare at Orochimaru as he breathed again. Sun breathing form. Beneficent radiance. Yoriichi spirals into the air so fast that Orochimaru couldn't track it as he delivered a powerful burning slash that surrounds Orochimaru. As Orochimaru screamed in pain as he was set on fire, Yoriichi turns around and noticed Orochimaru also lost 2 arms and was actually on fire. It burns. It burns. The snake Sannin screamed as he kept burning and looked at Yoriichi in absolute fear. Which is something he had never felt before. Yoriichi prepared to breathe again to attempt to finish Orochimaru once and for all. But suddenly he coughed blood. Orochimaru saw this as his chance to escape. As he ran away, still set on fire, these flames that still burning him felt like the very sun itself. He ran and ran out of Yoriichi's sight and to go find a pond to get the flames off him. This brat scares him. And he has underestimated him. Now he will have to get another body. ASAP before this one dies out. Yoriichi felt tired as he sheathed his sword and went to go find his teammates. Later on, he had found his team. There you are, we have been looking for you. Yujito says as she came and then looks shocked seeing his haggard state. Uchiha-kun. Fu says, running to him. You're hurt. Yujito notices the wound on his shoulder. I'm fine, don't worry about it. He suddenly collapsed. Uchiha-kun. Both Yujito and Fu says seeing him fall, but caught him. Anko, who was also resting, woke up and heard the two. What happened to Orochimaru? Yoriichi-kun. asked Yujito, now wanting to finish the job. He got away, but don't worry, I've crippled him, Yoriichi says as he passed out, shocking the two. Anko looked in disbelief. He did what she says in shock. No one was able to handle Orochimaru like that. Not even the Sandaime and Jiraiya. Anko could only look on in disbelief. This kid. Uzumaki Yoriichi went head to head against her former sensei and won a fight against him. No less injured him. How was that possible? Not even Jiraiya of the Sannin or the third Hokage, who is the professor, could injure Orochimaru like that. Just who is this kid? A mere genin made Orochimaru run away with his tail tucked behind him. She would have to report this immediately to the Hokage about Orochimaru infiltrating Konoha. Including Yoriichi Hayabusa Uzumaki, who held his own against the snake and wounded him. But Itachi, who is under his new identity as Tengu Izuna, who is a jonin for Yuzu. He recently felt a burn mark as he glanced at his wrist. He saw Origashaku's mark on his wrist glowing hotly and burning brightly. He looked both ways to make sure no one was looking as he went somewhere secluded. His mistress is calling him. He wonders what she could want. He went inside a room and placed silencing seals on the door and walls so no one wouldn't eavesdrop on his conversation. He flared his Yokai chakra and a dark flame projection of Hachishaku-sama manifested from his mark as she looked at Itachi with anger on her face as he suddenly sweated. Knowing his mistress does not look happy, something told him she wants an explanation. What has happened to Naruto Itachi? She hissed, making him frown. I don't know, your majesty. What seems to be the problem? He asked, hoping to please her. Hoping she doesn't get angry at him. I sensed a disturbance, that he was in danger. I felt it. Where is he? She hissed as he sweated and became pale a bit. He's currently in the second part of the exams into the Forest of Death. He answered as she narrowed her eyes. Find out what happened to him. Right now. And when you do find out what happened, report back to me. She says coldly. It will be done, mistress. Itachi says as she vanishes. Seeing that she left. He sighed in relief. Right now he must see if his student is okay. He created a shadow clone as it turned into a crow. He walked out of the room with the crow on his shoulder as it flew off and was heading into the Forest of Death to go find his student. Back with Yoriichi, as Anko had left. Yujito and Fu had carried Naruto into a nearby cave where they could rest. How is he? Asked Fu, looking at Yujito, who was checking Naruto. He's fine, it seems his wound is healing. Yujito answered. They heard a caw sound and glanced up, noticing it was a crow with Sharingan eyes, as if transformed into Itachi. I'm just a shadow clone. What has happened? He asked as the two began explaining the situation about them encountering Orochimaru, which made Itachi narrow his eyes. At the fact that the snake Sannin attempted to give Naruto the curse seal, which could explain why his queen seemed pissed. But was relieved that Naruto was able to beat Orochimaru and made him flee. Itachi suddenly had a calculating expression. Meaning that Orochimaru is still in this forest, probably recuperating from Naruto wounding him. He is going to find the snake Sannin and learn what Orochimaru's intentions are for the Chunin exams so that he could report this to his queen. Alright. You two take good care of him. I'm going to report back to the queen. Itachi says as both Yujito and Fu nodded, seeing Itachi turn back into a crow and flew into the sky to go circle and look for Orochimaru. But Orochimaru-sama. What has happened to you? Are you okay? Kabuto asked, but flinched when the Sannin glared at deathly. Do I look okay? Kabuto nabbed me immediately and hurry. He snarled in pain as Kabuto wasted no time in bringing a random shinobi he captured. As Orochimaru left his host's body and went inside the other. Now feeling good as new, but still felt phantom pains from the burn marks and the loss of his arms. What happened to Orochimaru-sama? He asked again, wondering what did to his master. Orochimaru suddenly shook, his yellow eyes widened with pure fear. That boy is a true monster, Orochimaru says, which shocked and confused Kabuto. What boy is Orochimaru-sama? Kabuto asked Orochimaru, giving him an insane look. Uchiha Hayabusa Uzumaki, the snake answered, with Kabuto going pale in the face, that Yoriichi was that strong. And that he made his sensei cower in fear. He must be killed before he could pose a threat to my plans here for the invasion. Orochimaru says, having that same mad look on his face, terrified of Yoriichi. Who would have thought that the great Orochimaru was scared of a boy? What are we going to do if he does pose a threat to Orochimaru-sama? Kabuto asked. No one has suspected a thing yet about our planned invasion or that you are a spy for me. We can't go after him now, that will blow our cover for this mission. For now we will leave him. Hopefully soon as Jinchuriki will fight him in the exams. Orochimaru is still upset and terrified. Yet could not understand why the boy resisted his curse seal. Kabuto looked at the dead body of Orochimaru's host. If Orochimaru thought Naruto was the true monster. Wait until he meets Origa-shaku-sama, who is a much bigger and terrifying monster second to Naruto. I will go and rest, you carry on and avoid Yoriichi. Kabuto, he could be onto you. Says Orochimaru. At once Orochimaru-sama. Kabuto says, as the two leave. Little did they know. They failed to notice a crow with Sharingan eyes listening to the whole conversation as it puffed into smoke, transferring its memories to the original. But Itachi, he returned to the room to report to his mistress with sound seals up. What have you learned? She asked, as Itachi had reported what he had learned. She of course narrowed her eyes. So the disgusting snake wishes to interfere in our plan, as well. And he was the one that attacked my Naru-kun. She hissed. What would you have me do, my mistress? Itachi asked, as she looked at him, thinking of what must be done about this. She was not letting Orochimaru go away unpunished for attacking her husband. Capture and interrogate the one named Kabuto. I want to know where Sound Village is so that I could pay the snake a visit. Origa says, with Itachi widening his eyes, knowing what's going to happen if his queen is going to make a visit to Orochimaru's base of operations. I'll capture him when we reach the preliminaries. Itachi says with her nodding as she vanished. He knows what he has to do now. Forest of Death. One day later, Yoriichi Naruto woke up as he glanced around and saw Yujito and Fu look at him. Yoriichi-kun. You're awake. They hugged him. What happened? How long was I out? He asked. One day. Yujito answered. Let's get going then, we gotta get to that tower. Yoriichi says, now feeling good as thanks to Kyuubi healing him. As the two went on ahead. What? Hissed Chloe, now pissed after hearing what happened. Her queen had just told her and her sister's wives included the news about what happened with Naruto. Tsunade was even there at the time as she looked pissed as well about what her ex-teammate tried to do with her godson. Calm yourself, Chloe. Orochimaru will get what's coming to him. Origa reassures her, but Chloe looked mad as hell and was restraining herself from going Witchblade motor, turning full dog demon on the one who attacked her husband and father of her children. Chloe-san, calming yourself by getting angry and stressed is not good for the baby you're carrying. Shizune says, walking to Chloe, but Chloe wasn't hearing it as her eyes glowed red with demon marks appearing on her face as she snarled dog-like. Chloe. Listen to Shizune. Naru-kun is okay. It's not healthy for you or the baby. I'm just as mad as you are. Rest assured, Orochimaru will most likely get what's coming to him. He wants to get in the way of our plan as well. We can't have that. When Itachi interrogates Orochimaru's spy, we will know of his location and make a full direct attack on his base of operations. And that is going to be a promise. Because this will be Orochimaru's absolute downfall. Origa would say with narrowed eyes as Chloe began to calm down and relax a bit. Careful, Origa-sama. My teammate is very crafty and very smart. I don't even know how the hell did both my sensei and Jiraiya both fuck up in letting Orochimaru go. Tsunade warned, almost wishing she could crush her ex-teammate to paste. I'm well aware of Tsunade. This time I'm going to do what many in your world have failed to do, and that is by cutting off the head of the snake to make sure he stays dead. Orochimaru will die. Orochimaru declared, and she is going to be the one to kill him, no one. And she meant no one harms her Naru-kun and gets away with it. I'm coming with you. Because I too will want a piece of that bastard. Chloe hissed. Allow us to come with you as well. Asagi would cut in with Ingrid besides her nodding. Origa looked from her sister's brides, seeing that all wanted to kill Orochimaru. If so, then I should come too. Because I want to see my ex-teammate one last time before giving him the beating of a lifetime. Tsunade now decides she's coming to make a last good reunion with Orochimaru. Very well. We all will go and punish Orochimaru. Give him a slow and very painful, agonizing death. For now we wait for Itachi to report back once he's captured Kabuto. Hachishaku-sama says with the others nodding. So you say Naruto-kun is okay? Chloe says, looking at her mother figure who looked at her. Of course he is. That's what Itachi has told me. Origa-sama says with her hand on Chloe's shoulder. Who nodded, at least she was okay with hearing Naruto is okay and well. Konoha Central Tower. What did you say, Anko? You saw Orochimaru? And he bit the last Uchiha? Hiruzen asked with her nodding. Yes. Hokage-sama. And that's not all. I tried to stop him, but lost, and he attempted to kill me, but I was saved by Yoriichi Hayabusa Uzumaki. Anko debriefed with the Hokage, who caught the interest of the name Uzumaki. Did you say Uzumaki? The old Cage says with her nodding. What did he look like? He demanded to know who exactly bested his once prized pupil, as Anko gave her description of Yoriichi Hayabusa Uzumaki. And what village is he from? Hiruzen asked. I think from what I heard from Ibiki, Yoriichi and his teammates are from Yuzushiogakure. But they have a kanji for dark elf on their forehead band. Anko replied, with Hiruzen now having his full attention on Anko when she uttered those words. What? That can't be possible. Yuzushiogakure is in ruins, and last I checked from Jiraiya that all the Uzumaki were killed in the last purge. We sold out Yuzu just to have Kushina on our side because she housed the Kyuubi. So Uzumaki Shredder is not the only Uzumaki. He thought, mentally trying to process this. How can this be? Yuzu can't be rebuilt. That island has been in ruins since the Second Shinobi War, and Jiraiya was sure and certain that Yuzu was indeed in ruins. Hachishaku-sama. One other thing. I heard him say he was able to cripple Orochimaru and make him flee. Anko says now that caught Hirazen's interest. The boy crippled his best student. Now he was interested in Yoriichi Hayabusa Uzumaki, and he wanted the boy to join Konoha to be a member here. Is there anything else at all, Anko? Hirazen asked as she shook her head. I see. Then you are dismissed. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. He says as she bowed and left. Amity cursed now alone. Nico, he called out as she arrived. Yes, Hokage-sama. She replied bowing. Let me Jiraiya at once. Tell him it's urgent. He commanded as she nodded and vanished in a swirl of leaves. He's going to send Jiraiya to Yuzu to check it out. If possible Naruto could be there, and that's probably where Hachishaku-sama could be hiding. For now he will keep his eyes and focus on Yoriichi Hayabusa Uzumaki, who had managed to make Orochimaru flee. 2 days later, Team Dark Elf Yuzu had made it to the tower without any trouble. As they had eaten food and had a good rest. As the Hokage made his appearance and delivered his speech to those who made it to the Chunin exams, as his eyes were on Yoriichi, who was standing beside Yujito and Fu. Orochimaru, who was disguised as a Jonin, instantly saw Yoriichi as he trembled slightly and sweated. No one didn't notice this. Bad boy, Orochimaru says with fear and thought for Yoriichi as his mind flashed to the phantom pains he received when Yoriichi slashed through him and burned him. Just don't look at him, Orochimaru says to himself, not looking at Yoriichi. The boy who put fear into his heart and struck him will forever have an impact on him. If he wasn't so afraid of the boy, he would have been hell-bent on wanting him as his next vessel instead of Sasuke. Just wait until he goes back to Sound and will be meeting someone much worse than Yoriichi. If anyone does not want to continue, now is the time to say it. Says Hate, who is the proctor for the matches. I can no longer continue. Kabuto would say as he looked up at the disguised Orochimaru, who nodded at him. Itachi, who was also there under his persona, had silently watched this and followed Kabuto's look. Seeing the disguised Sound Jonin. And Itachi knew who it was. Very well, if you can't continue, please leave. Says Hate with Kabuto nodding while leaving, waving everyone good luck while keeping a fake smile. As he left the room, little did Kabuto know that Itachi was already waiting for him. Itachi had mentally commanded his shadow clone that was already waiting to ambush Kabuto to get ready. Alright. Since everyone else wants to continue, then good luck on your fight. Hiruzen declared as all teams looked determined. Prepare yourselves, guys. Yoriichi, Naruto says towards Yujito and Fu, who nodded. Right on it. Yujito would say with Fu nodding besides her. Alright, for the first match. We have Uchiha Sasuke vs Saku of Sound Village. Hate called out as the onlookers would watch the fight. With Kabuto, who already left the preliminary arena and is now en route to carry out Orochimaru's next plan and to wait for him. He would go a different route so no one wouldn't follow him. But apparently he was followed. As a crow with Sharingan eyes had watched him and followed him. Now in nobody's view and all alone. Kabuto was unprepared when he was suddenly struck in the back of the neck. Standing behind him was Itachi Uchiha, who was a shadow clone looking down at the unconscious spy as he took Kabuto away to a secluded spot. A little later, Kabuto was beginning to receive consciousness as he looked around his surroundings, seeing that he's in some kind of abandoned warehouse. He tried to move only to find that he couldn't as he looked down and saw that he was tied to a cross. Chained heavily with chakra cuffs on him. Are we awake, Kabuto? Says a voice as the boy looked around. The warehouse was dark and he couldn't see who was there. Who's there? Show yourself. Demanded Kabuto. Sharingan eyes glowed to life in the dark. Kabuto winced as he saw Itachi Uchiha walk out of the darkness and shadows of the scenery, which terrified him. Itachi appeared as if he was a wraith or a Bujiman. Itachi Uchiha says a shocked Kabuto. Hello, Kabuto Yakushi of Konoha. Or should I say Sound? Itachi says with a glare as Kabuto looked shocked. How? Kabuto asked. No point in telling you that. Because once you tell me everything, my mistress will find your master and end his existence. Itachi declared with Kabuto narrowing his eyes. I'll never tell you. I'll never tell you where my master is. Kabuto says with defiance as Itachi puts on a cold smile as Itachi's eyes have shifted into Mangekyo. Oh, you will. You will give me your master's base of operations so that my mistress can get rid of him once and for all. Tsukiyomi. Itachi shouted, and like that Kabuto was suddenly under Itachi's trance and pulled into his realm to torture the boy and make him confess everything. Yoriichi and his teammates Yujito and Fu would watch the recent fight of Sasuke vs Yoroi. As the Uchiha gained the upper hand in his fight and won. Winner Uchiha Sasuke. Called out Hate. As Sasuke smirked in defeat, he went back up in the stands. Alright, next up it's Sakura Haruno vs Yujito. Hate called out. Ah. This might be my chance to show Sasuke-kun that I'm worthy to be his wife. I'll beat that long-eared blonde bitch. Sakura believes that she can beat Yujito. Yeah, let's kick her ass. Inner Sakura agreed. Yujito watched her opponent walk down to the arena. Try not to kill her, Yujito. Yoriichi says, I won't. I'm going to tear her a new asshole. Yujito said with a glare as she walked down to fight her opponent. Hiruzen was focused on Yujito, including Fu, who is standing by Yoriichi. Flashback Hokage Tower a day later. Yoriichi Hayabusa Uzumaki. And you are saying he's from Yuzushiogakure? That's not possible, sensei, that village is in ruins, Jiraiya says in disbelief. Possible or not, Jiraiya? This here confirms that Yuzu is possibly being rebuilt under our noses. Hiruzen says, showing Jiraiya a picture of Yoriichi and his team, including their headbands with the kanji for Dark Elf. Hey, these two look familiar. The girls besides Yoriichi look like Kumo's lost 2 tails and Taki's lost 7 tails Jinchuriki. They look different. Dark skin. And long ears. What happened to them? Jiraiya mused, looking at both girls. What? They lost Kumo and Taki? Questioned the Sandame. With Jiraiya nodding. Yes. They look so identical to what they used to look like. They've been missing, and to see that these two joined Yuzu. Jiraiya says with his sensei having a serious look. So much has been revealed. This boy managed to make Orochimaru flee. And not only that. But he's related to Uzumaki Shredder, who is currently in the shadows. Yuzushiogakure is being revived. But by who? Surely it can't be Hachishaku-sama. Hiruzen stated. What do you plan to do now? Since we learned of this? Jiraiya asked with his sensei facing him. I want you to investigate the island of Yuzu. We must be sure if Yuzu is truly back. I also want to know if Naruto is there, including Hachishaku-sama. The Sandame commanded. Got it. I'll see what I can do. But what happens if Naruto isn't there? I mean, we've been looking for him all over the elemental nations, and not a single spy or contact of mine has seen any sightings of Naruto. Jiraiya said with his sensei frowning. He is there in Jiraiya. I can feel it in my old bones. Surely Hachishaku-sama wouldn't kill him and risk the Kyuubi being free to attack her. He must be there at Yuzu. Hiruzen spoke sternly. Very well. I'll give it a shot. And should the mission become a failure? The Toad Sage questioned. That's a big if. If it becomes a failure. Knowing Hachishaku-sama, she won't take no for an answer. Meaning Naruto could be lost forever to us if he's in her hands. So at this point we will capture Yoriichi and his 2 female friends. Have them become members of, and for them to become loyal to us. They seem close to Yoriichi. We'll have him make a few sires with the 2. We can start our own Uzumaki clan here to control. Hiruzen replied, holding his smoke pipe. Well then. I'll be off to check on Yuzu. Jiraiya says, now hopping out the window to take off to Yuzu. Hiruzen sits back in his chair holding his smoke pipe facing the picture of Yoriichi and his teammates. Wondering how he will convince them to be shinobi here. And Uzumaki and 2 female Jinchuriki who can produce an army of children loyal to and those in power here. While he may have lost to Naruto, these 3 will have to do it. Flashback over. In the arena stood both Yujito and Sakura. Ready? Fight. Hayate called as he backed away, letting the 2 fight it out. I'm going to beat you, you long-eared freak. Cha. Sakura charged at Yujito, raising a punch to punch the Dark Elf Jinchuriki's lights out. However, Yujito wasn't fazed by this and had an utter look of annoyance on her face. Before the punch could even hit Yujito, she caught it smoothly and glared at Sakura with an unimpressed expression. You call yourself a kunoichi? You act more like a typical fangirl rather than a serious kunoichi. Yujito spoke with seriousness in her tone, with Sakura giving her a look of anger and hatred. Shut up, bitch. Sakura shouted as she used her free hand to punch Yujito again, only for the to catch her other hand and then hit her knee up against Sakura's stomach hard, making her gag as she let the girl go who was clutching her stomach. All of this? Trying to impress a boy? A boy who won't even return your feelings? Yujito says, looking down at Sakura with disgust. Sakura looked up in rage as she pulled out a kunai and attempted to stab Yujito with it, but Yujito had a faster reaction. She caught the kunai and tossed it aside, disarming Sakura. Then she twisted the girl's arm as Sakura screamed in pain at having her arm twisted. How pathetic. I bet the only reason you want to be a kunoichi is because you want to be with a clan heir that is a boy, right? Yujito asked, with Sakura looking at her in hot angry tears. Shut up. I would be Sasuke-kun's wife. I will show him that I can beat you. I bet you spread your legs to that Yoriichi boy. Sakura shouted with anger, pulling back from Yujito. Yujito's eyes narrowed and Sakura could have sworn for a split second she saw Yujito's eyes change to 2 separate colors. A yellow eye and a green eye. Okay. That was personal. I'm fucking her up. Yujito hissed in thought. Yeah. Put this ugly monkey in her place. Matatabi says to her host. What's wrong? Something I said to you, Sakura said, but instantly Yujito grabbed the girl and started pummeling her to the ground with her fists. She repeatedly punched Sakura's face hard and harder as Sakura's screams of pain echoed throughout the arena. The others in the stands cringed watching this. As they heard the sounds of Yujito's punches impacting Sakura's face. Screamed Sakura's face was bloody and bruised up, nose broken, face disfigured, jaw broken, teeth flying out of her mouth as Yujito kept beating Sakura's face in. 6 minutes later Yujito stood over Sakura with her fists covered in blood. As Sakura lay there with her face bloody and bruised up, jaw was broken, 2 black eyes, teeth missing out of her mouth, face entirely disfigured, as if Yujito just gave Sakura a new makeover. Sakura herself was crying, and crying in pain, her entire face was hurting. Heiei went over and saw the state Sakura was in. Winner Yujito of Yuzu. Sakura Haruno is unable to continue. Heiei declared as Sakura was put on a stretcher and taken away. Yujito went back up with her team. Good work. You sure showed her. Fu would say to her sister bride. Of course I did. Yujito flashes a smile while coming over to Yoriichi and kisses him on the cheek. Next is Ino Yamanaka versus Fu. Heiei called out. Ino felt a little confident that she could beat Fu. Oh right. My turn. Fu says with a smile heading down to the arena, but her sensei Itachi stopped her. Be careful with that one Fu, she has mind-based jutsu, whatever you do don't let her use any of her jutsu on you, end her quick. Itachi warned still in his disguise, as she nodded now understanding that. Both of them were in the arena. Ready? Fight. Heiei called out. This will be easy. All I have to do is get in her mind and force her to forfeit, Ino says in thought, but was cut off when Fu punched her in the gut, then felt another punch to her face, sending her skidding across the arena. Ino struggled to get up, fazed by the punch to her gut and her face. Her jaw was sore from the hit. Ouch. That hurts. Ino thought, glaring at Fu as she pulled out 2 kunai and charged at Fu. Fu seeing this smiled as she watched Ino come to her with both kunai slashing them at her, but Fu was dodging and evading them smoothly and swiftly. Until Ino let herself out open, Fu saw her chance to strike and sprint a bit as she punched Ino again in the stomach, then disarmed her as Fu did a combo of kicks and punches to the girl as she did uppercut to Ino's jaw, knocking her in midair as the girl fell down on the ground out cold. Winner. Fu. Ino Yamanaka is unable to continue. Heiei called out. Yeah. Fu cheered as she went back up to the stands. Good work Fu. Yoriichi smiled. Thanks, Yoriichi-kun. Fu says, hugging him and kissing his cheek. Iruchi versus Kiba in Yuzuka. Heiei called. Kick his ass hard. Both Yujito and Fu says in unison. Oh trust I will. Yoriichi says, heading down to the arena to face his opponent. But Itachi and Kabuto. Having been in Tsukiyomi, Kabuto tried to keep himself from falling apart from the torture Itachi was giving him. Bit soon, he cracked like an egg, unable to take it anymore as the young man spilled everything out to Itachi and where Orochimaru's base of operations is. Sound Village. After interrogating Kabuto and torturing him, Itachi reported to his mistress, telling her everything Kabuto told him and gave him the location of the village. Good work Itachi. I will ready my forces and go there to Sound Village to lay a surprise attack on him and his cronies. Just inform me when the snake leaves so we will be ready for him. Origa says in her astral projection. What do you want done with Kabuto? Send him to you as a prisoner? Itachi asked. No. Dispose of him. He's already proved his usefulness to us. She replied. Understood. He says, watching her astral form vanish as he turns towards Kabuto, who was still chained to a cross. The right-hand man of Orochimaru was passed out due to the Tsukiyomi taking an effect on him. Itachi brought out his sword coated in black Amaterasu flames and swiftly beheaded Kabuto. After beheading him, Itachi burned his body and head with his Amaterasu as the body began to burn to ashes. The end. Thanks for watching my video and make sure to check out the author of this fanfic. Link is in the description. See you next time. Till then, sayonara.